Welcome back to Wake Up with Cheddar. Congress returns to Washington this week as lawmakers look to a new stimulus bill. The initial CARES Act had anticipated that the worst of the coronavirus pandemic would be behind us by the summer. And now lawmakers are facing mounting pressure to get something passed and get it passed quickly. That extra $600 of unemployment benefits, that runs out in just a few days. Joining us now to discuss is Mattie Duppler, a senior fellow at the National Taxpayers Union. Really great to have you on with us this morning. I do want to start with some breaking news. We just learned House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy saying that he does not expect that a coronavirus relief bill will pass before the end of the month. What do you make of that? What are your expectations in terms of when something might actually pass?
Well, good morning. The July 31st deadline is important because it's the deadline that the CARES Act established for the expansion of unemployment benefits. So Congress and many watchers in Washington have been looking at end of July as the drop dead date for getting something done. But, the Senate was always expected to be in the first week of August. Kevin McCarthy's comments, he went on to say he thought a bill would be done by that first week of August. I do think this is a little bit of positioning, a little bit of political posturing here, trying to increase the amount of leverage that House Republicans have, because of course Democrats control the House side, and they put out their bill several months ago, staking a claim in the ground what they wanted to see with another round of coronavirus aid. I do think that a package will get done. That end of July deadline is crucial for the economic impact it could have if those unemployment benefits run out and there's no bridge or any kind of transition in place. But remember, the really important deadline is November, and both political parties are looking to be able to make some kind of argument to the American voter that they have control not just over the pandemic, but about the economic repercussions because of the coronavirus. So it's definitely in the best interest of both chambers to get the work done by that, first week of August deadline. Certainly, end of July would be even better to allow for some kind of certainty for American taxpayers and businesses as they look to Washington for another round of coronavirus aid.
There's a lot of debate about that extra $600 in unemployment benefits that's currently going out. That sets to run out at the end of the month. On the one hand, you have Janet Yellen, Ben Bernanke, the former Fed chair, saying that this is really key for the economy right now. But by some estimates, about 2/3 of people who are getting that are actually making more money now than they were when they were working. So a lot of Republicans think this de-incentivizes people to get back into the workforce. What do you think?
Well, it's not just Republicans who think that this could potentially be a boot on the neck of the economy as we try to recover. Former Obama economist Jason Furman partnered with a couple other economists in the Washington Post a couple months ago, writing an op-ed saying that they were concerned about the long-lasting effects of expanding those UI benefits past the July 31st deadline. Because, of course, you can't blame a worker who doesn't want to go to work if they're getting paid more to stay home, particularly in a pandemic. I think it's crucial that Congress focuses on this question and gets a transition in place so that workers not only can go back to work, but it gives employers time to figure out how they can reopen safely and keep their workers safe. There's been a couple of proposals introduced that would increase tax benefits for employers who are looking to buy PPE and put in place other restrictions so that they can get their workers back to work in a way that keeps them safe. I think those are smart proposals. There are other proposals out there too that would keep workers whole as they make that transition back to work. Ranking member Kevin Brady has a proposal that would give a back to work bonus that would essentially give someone who's on unemployment half of their unemployment benefits while they transition back into work. I think those kinds of proposals could go a long way to increasing the amount of certainty in the economy. And certainly that is the challenge right now. The initial assumption of the CARES Act would be that in July, we'd be in a much better position from a public health perspective, as well as an economic perspective. We are not in that situation right now. So Congress needs to step in to try and give as much certainty as possible because of the economic consequences that the American public have been focused on and suffering as a result of COVID-19.
You say that Congress should follow three principles when it comes to this new stimulus package and the economic recovery. What are they?
That's right. So National Taxpayers Union released an issue brief a couple weeks ago to try and guide this conversation. We believe that 3 principles can really help both sides come together. One is that relief should be temporary and it should be targeted to the people who are most affected by the coronavirus. I mean, those are people who've lost their jobs, but the Federal Reserve has told us that 40% of the people who are experiencing job loss, those households make less than $40,000 a year. So let's make sure that the targeted relief really goes to the people who need it most. Secondly, we need recovery to make broad changes. This means not favoring one specific industry over another. And if we're using the tax code to do that, we want to make sure that those changes are leveling the playing field for all businesses as we try to get the economy back online. And thirdly, there just needs to be prudent guardrails in effect so that taxpayer dollars are going straight to the heart of the matter and they're not being used for other issues or causes that aren't related to the pandemic.
How optimistic are you that will actually be followed?
Well, we've got a couple weeks left here. Congress is coming back to work this week after being on a 2-week vacation. So certainly there's a lot of work to be done. But, the CARES Act had a lot of ideas in there that Congress can really build on that had bipartisan buy-in. I think we forget that. The CARES Act was passed with unanimous support from both chambers of Congress, and there's elements in there that both parties really supported, both aid for state and local governments, as well as tax incentives that allow the economy to continue to move through these uncertain times. I think that Congress should build on those elements to get a second bill through Congress and passed, hopefully before that July 31st deadline.
All right. Mattie Duppler, Senior Fellow at the National Taxpayers Union. It was really great to chat with you this morning. Thank you so much for coming on. And there's a lot more Wake Up with Cheddar after the break. Stay with us.